There we go. We're live. All right. So thank you for coming and being a part of the Decision Table Conversations, Manuel. So just amazing to have you here. I'm so looking forward to getting to know you, connecting with you, and really just hearing through your lens of how you see and what you're doing right now in life. We have had amazing last month here on the Decision Table. We used the lens of what I believe is the need for a new approach to leadership. And this month, we're really looking through the lens of the muscle of human intelligence, the importance of it. I think that, and for me, human intelligence means that we use the data that we have in our brain and we start using that, exercising it, and realizing that it's kind of like a secret advantage that all of us have access to if we know how to do that. And I'm really keen to know what you mean by, and I remember seeing it, I'm just going to see if I can find it because I want to get your exact words. The highest purpose in this universe is the creation of an effect. What did you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Please explain.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Kiri, for having me, on the decision table. My name is Manuel Wancha, for who doesn't know me. I'm the president of the U.S. Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights, and also, president of the International Union of Barter Chamber and Commerce Industry. I dedicate my life, my big why is, to help children. 68 million children with, we have this kind of program change to study, that we want kids, to have the opportunity to go and learn. And they don't have possibilities, there are people, just, they abuse, they are, they use for the labor, or maybe, to help the family, to create the needs and the food and the water. Sometimes they run for like 5 to 10 kilometers. And because on my experience, I was in corporate, working with the big corporations, and my entire life. Right now I'm a business coach, consulting, helping startups and small medium company, and also the entrepreneurs to not to get stuck. And I think that is important, to have our muscle intelligence, because we are human being, we are getting distracted, we are not using our the massive how we say, the human is good. But when he get suppressed, where he get distracted, where he get the pain, after that he doesn't know how to be resilient, and to how to use the own source and the own power to come back on own feet, and to try to say, okay, what is my goal? What is my decision? What is I need to do? What is the why? I think if people understand what is your what they have the why, we can wake up in the morning and to say, I know why I wake up in the morning, because this is my why, and I will be the driver for that why to make it happen. When people, they don't have the why, they don't have the goals, they still confused, and they don't have clarity. Why we have journals, why we have put everything in writing, because we get distracted, and the people which they know to optimize, not to optimize, to handle, to tackle, to say, okay, this is my why, this is I'm doing, I respect anyone, but I need to have to bring this right, the right people, to make it happen.
Yes. And here's the thing though, and you would see this with the kids, that not always do you have access to the why, or it's a why that is not the why that's going to help or benefit or add value to. What got you into working with kids and making sure that they had, an opportunity to have their why?
Also, I like, to share my knowledge, and this U.S. Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights also we share, with the parents, with the children,
Mm,
with everyone, to and also, I'm a college professor, with Manhattan Study Institute, New York, and with my dear friend, just passed away recently. He was the president here of that creativity, but
good.
like
Sorry
his
about that.
life, and I dedicate this to him because this was him passion. His name is Alexander Stefan. Was a mentor, was a creator. How to create, the institute, the academy, to give the opportunity to do this kind of things and this kind of situations, also with pandemic, to do online. But when I'm having the kids, to answer your question, is, to understand, uh, if you are joining a course where you try to do something, why? Okay.
Mm,
When we remember when we were 4 years old, you have you if I have I have I have two girls and one boy, but when I have my girls was 4 years old, they start to say, why is that,
yeah.
and as we forgot, after going to school, to start ask ourselves, why I need to do that, and what is my why.
Yeah.
We have that word, when they start to ask these kind of questions, and it's our responsibility, to influence people to ask, and also the children to say, what is your why you want to do this? And they say, I don't know. But you have something, and you will start working, continue to push them, with questions. You understand they have something big, which have a
Mm,
dream. They don't want to share it because they don't know how to get it there. But and in the end, it's like, oh my God, that is, when you open, the box for them is like they are unstoppable. The same
yeah.
thing with Musk. Elon Musk was, the kid, and Elon Musk is like, hey, I'm going to
Yes.
Mars, with you or out you. And people that start to question, because here's the problem here. People, they say they don't trust. They say, how you can go there? I say, I don't know, but I'll be there. I
Yeah.
think that is if we start to be creative in that way, to like to be, hey, I will not stop because I have a dream.
Mm,
How was Luther King? Was
yes.
they have a dream. And everyone, they do these kind of things. They decide what is my why, and the parents, or maybe the children, help the parents and say, hey, what's your why? Because they get confused. Sometimes they get divorced, sometimes they get, on part, they get with disagreement. And but after that, I say, hey, if we have our why,
Yeah.
we can stay together and we can move towards to that goal. And the
Mm,
important thing is in this way is communication. With digital media, with everything, we forgot to communicate well and to understand, the steps of communication, like, affinity. Also, try to have a reality. I try to have a reality about you, and you want to have a reality about me in this
yeah.
discussions, and after that, we have this kind of create a reality about each other. You have an understanding. You have an understanding
Yes.
what is my why, and I have an understanding what is your why. And
Mm,
wherever we have everything in understanding, we have an agreement. And
yes.
that is the three steps, of communication, which I'm teaching, the entrepreneurs and the children, to say, when you communicate, if you don't have an agreement, come back to those three steps, to understand what was
Mm,
missing, why you didn't communicate, not because you didn't was tricky words or this abbreviation words, whatever. You didn't make your point clearly, for people to understand how to help you, because you can have a dream, but if you don't have a team, you don't have people and around you, and to have that movement, you'll be alone, and you have a dream also, or maybe it will be hard for you to get it to that level, to get it done.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I think as a child, there's this opening up of surprise of this, you know, when you give the opportunity to walk down a pathway. I think we often lose that as adults. We forget that there is this opportunity. And I think even more so as humans, humans are forgetting that you can make decisions for yourself. You have choices. You can go with that why. You can start dreaming again and really doing things. There's a lot of time in organizations and companies that I find that people have built around a culture that they don't even like being a part of. And it's like, have you forgotten that you can actually change this? And I'd love to hear what you think around, do you think humans are thinking for themselves more, less? Is there something stopping people from thinking or doing? You know, what's your thoughts or insights around that?
Okay, my thought, I'm a believer, the human being is a spirit, and going to that, the spirit is more creative, and because the spirit is going from life to life, and from body to body, people, they can agree with me or disagree, but this is my belief, okay, and based that we are, but from if you are right now, I think what uh, what we miss here,
Mm,
we miss the important thing. We miss to whatever stage we are. We are a children, we are a teenager, you are an adult. Depends where you are and what milestone you have. We forgot to use that internal engine which I have
yeah.
for
Yes.
ourselves. I think the people, the statistics say, I think we use the cells, like only 5%. And I love what you
Yeah.
said in a previous meeting, a decision table, on a previous show. You mentioned that, and I don't want to repeat that, but that you make a great point. If our DNA we are not using, we didn't know how much we can use
Mm,
and how much, and this kind of, and why I said, in order to do something to meet our goal, we need to create, we know to be the creator to have an effect. With that, we can have create around us and for us. Depends how we create that. If we are
mm,
if we are a victim, we are an effect. Somebody will say something, you'll say, oh, I cannot work that day because somebody say something. Somebody
yeah.
express a pain to other person. People doesn't understand that. People also, they do these kind of things, and I see when I'm consulting, companies, they bring the personal pain in an environment, and after that, they say, what happened to that person, like, relax, everything is okay, and I start smiling, and people say, oh, we need to be serious here, it's a serious business. It's fine, it's a serious business, but if you don't have joy, don't have passion, you don't have,
Yeah.
to radiate, to share your knowledge. People, they don't share knowledge in the industry, like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to get promoted because this kind of things. They say, no, no, no. If you share knowledge, that industry will go, rapidly to the next level. But
Yeah.
doesn't understand that, people, they start to, they have the tendency to say what is mine, like a
Mm,
food. This is mine, I cannot share it. Why? Because no, 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 this is mine. But when you shift that, thinking, and you say, hey, I'm open to share, to learn in any milestone of my life, and I can have people around me the same way they have the goal, and you attract that. You will start to attract, and start to be an effect.
I
If
agree.
not, you attract whatever what you're looking for, and people
Yeah.
doesn't realize. They say, oh man, you attract. Yes, you attract when you attract the loved one. You start, and you send a message to universe.
Mm,
I want to meet this kind of person. I want to have that kind of person around me. And in 2-3 days, they say, oh, I can see it because you send that. And
Yeah.
we cannot connect. And other things we forgot, we are not connected, we are not more spiritual, we are not more meditating, we are not to connect with objects around us, with the environment, with everything, because that is the connection. If you are not connected, you cannot create an effect. Will
Yeah.
be you'll
So
be affected.
so is this because we're not being present? Where's this disconnection?
Yes, it's a great point. Yes, we because we people sometimes when they have a pain, they cannot let go the pain. Imagine, myself, with the 10 luggages when I'm going to vacation, and people say, "Why you are bringing this?" No, it's mine.
Mm.
Don't touch it. It's mine. But imagine those luggages are all the pain. And people say, man, you cannot go in the taxi, an Uber. They will not let you in the airplane. You pay double. No, 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 no. It's mine.
Yeah.
When people realize, you see people that when they travel, they are light, and people, they have too many luggages. That is the life, because people which are present and they go, and they are light because say, okay, I can manage that. This is my minimum things which I needed, because I don't need. I'm a present life. I want to create something. People in the past, they can bring, I need my pillow when I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
I need my blanket, my this kind of things. And after that, when you go, you can see the story in the pet there. But if
Yes.
we are disconnect from the past, because I said today I have today a class, and people said, I need to stay in present time. You say, yeah, you need to stay in present time because you want to fix the past. You will never fix the past. You will die and will not fix the past. It's
Mm.
it's common sense. Sometimes people doesn't realize. And what I say all the time, life is very simple. Just people complicate the life because they're not connected with the heart,
Yeah.
and they are going, only to have answers from the brain. Just, I have the questions. I know you cannot, and you see this kind of person is not connected with his own body, and is like with the heart. And after I say, what
Mm.
happened to him?
Mm.
Because why? He has the pain. He closed the heart,
Yeah.
and after that, he cannot move forward.
I think there has to be, though, this sense of trust of oneself if you are to connect with one's heart, right? Like, not just as a brain thing, but then it's got to, like, that's what I talk about when it goes into your decision DNA, that depending how you wire your brain depends how it comes out in your DNA, and then the behaviors and the results that you bring. Here's the interesting thing about it, though, is that I think that as humans, we are getting to a point that, it's often easier to trust a system, trust other people and how they're saying it, doing it, because in some ways humans have got quite lazy. I believe that it's like that pill. You want that easy blue pill because that's going to get you to where you need to go if you take this pill. And there is such strength and power, I believe, when we are able to trust in ourselves and be able to make decisions. Here's the interesting thing that I see, and I look at patterns a lot. And one of the patterns I see is when someone makes a decision, they can wire to another behavior and change that very, very fast. It doesn't need to take 3 years of therapy. It really does not. I've seen it so powerfully. The interesting thing is that tends to be a person that has gone, okay, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to bring this baggage on. I don't want it. I'm not taking it. I really want to change. So yes, I'm going to make a decision. And we find the next pattern to wire to. The problem is those that want to continue with that don't want to let go of that.
Yes, and I think here is the things, and all the time, when you have a goal in business or in life, in personal life, okay, you have a goal and you meet that goal, and after that, people they start to be level up. They don't do anything because they meet that goal, and they're stuck. And all the time I say, okay, what is your new goal? I'll say, already I have the goal. I meet the goal. And say, why you're not? You have to go and enjoy. You go to Miami and you got 10, or you don't move anymore. what happened to you? Like, no, 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 no. I have my goal. Say, what is your new goal? You achieved that. Congratulations. You will need to acknowledge that person. And
Yes.
what is your new goal? Because if you are not going to the next goal, you'll get stuck. You get you got to the level of not existence. To with your ended identity. And after that, what happened? The best story will start thinking, because person to to drive, it needs to be in action. A person which you start to assume and create that, like a conspiracy, fears, because they afraid, because they have a situation in the past, and right now from the reactive mind that is coming, and say, okay, I cannot go and drive because, like in DC, when it's I give an example, when it's snowing, and I live in Buffalo, which we know is 2 feet,
Mm,
and everyone is driving. But in DC, if it's 2 feet, 2 months will not see anyone, driving, because they have this kind of fears, panic. People, they go and buy a grocery. I was in the Walmart and I cannot find salt. With one day, you say, what happened? Say tomorrow is a thunderstorm, but it's 2 inch. I say, are you kidding?
mm,
2 inch, and what happened with 2 feet? It's 2 inch, and you
yeah.
cannot drive. Like, if somebody sell you that you'll get it. And people that, if they don't want to question what's going to make sense, or where, okay, or with the pandemic, people in pandemic, this is a good example.
Yeah.
The people in pandemic, people are successful and
Yes.
people are not successful. Why? Because people, they start to get that information
Yeah.
of negativity, and they is like a fuel for them. And after that, use like everyone, like, you cannot do anything, you cannot go outside, because everything is going to the into the negativity, and you create your own story.
Yeah.
And that is dangerous. Okay, and after that, you sharing with others is more dangerous. And people are starting to say, okay, uh okay, it's pandemic, what are you doing? Okay, what is the solution? Doesn't matter the business. Everyone start to be creative, start to say,
Mm,
okay, I understand. I give an example, and which Dean Graziosi is mentioning, and he said, there are two restaurants in Utah, two owners of the restaurant on the same street, and one guy said, "Oh, pandemic. I'm waiting for the government to give me money and these kind of things," and the other one, another corner, he start to say, "Okay, let's go to the Home Depot, buy material construction," and what he create a space, to send food out, catering, like, hey, come, drive through. You
mm,
come, take your food, and inside he create, distances and everything. I think you can see the two aspects, when
yeah.
people and the muscle of intelligence is like, one, I'm going for the path with the story, and I will be enough
Yeah.
help. What I'm going to be, I'm the creator, and I create an impact good for people, and
Yes.
I will live, and I will have my business will go, will be prosper, and people understand the situation, and I have that. Nobody's. And other thing is what is important, Kiri, to mention here, and you mentioned before as well. It's a perfection.
Mm,
People wants to be perfect,
yeah.
because they don't want to fail, because somebody in the past, they
Yes.
say, oh, if you do that, you will be in the corner, or you get, I will beat you or something.
Yeah. Well,
And
I know I was one of those kids that had massive consequences when I wasn't the perfect child.
yes, and after that, you will have this, like, you already, you bring that baggage with you, and you have it, and say, oh, I need to be successful, because if not, I will be ashamed, and people, they give up. And
Yeah.
I said, "Well, what happened? You want a business, you have a dream, and after that, after 2 months, because somebody will push you back. And here's the
Mm,
statistic. In sales, I was international sales manager for General Electric. I was successful, doing $360 million just in one year. But I was not, because I was the entity. I was the person, human being, connected with other human being, and learn the culture, know how to communicate, and
Yes.
create that effect together to say, I help you, not because I'm from General Electric and we need to make it happen. No,
Yeah.
I said, hey, I'm Manuel. I work for General Electric. I
Yes.
try to understand what kind of problem you have and
Mm,
how to work together. And in this case, people doesn't understand. They say, how you can do that? I say, man,
yeah.
I'm human. I'm use the other human, and I'm listening, because I'm not going there because I'm from the United States. You need
Yeah.
to make it happen.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you are. I'm
So
listening
good.
to you. I listen your need, and I'm the solution for you.
Yeah. You look, there's just so many beautiful golden wisdom, pieces of wisdom in there. There's there's one of the interesting things, and I get to work with this in my world, and that is extremes that you speak of. And I think that this is what's happening right now, is those extremes are actually widening at this time. I think that, I get to work with amazing global leaders, and then I work right at the front line of humanity. There's a massive gap between there. And in many cases, it's widening. In other cases, you're seeing pockets of where it's narrowing. Same in the corporate entrepreneur world. There's a massive extreme from those worlds, and that gap can either widen or come together. I think that with, even bringing it back to the decision table, going, we either have all males at the table, we have all females at the table, we have, and what I call lots of amazing humans with different distinctions at the table, but that gap can either be widening or narrowing. And so you spoke about being in the present. There's also future thinking, and how do we can either have that gap widening right now, or we can bring it back in and narrow that gap. How do we start doing that more effectively in how we communicate? Because many can see it as, well, it's just all too hard.
Yes, I think, from my point of view, will be, in each company, you have somebody with a vision. It's one person. After that is the director level, which they need to implement that vision. And in the end, each department, they need to work towards to that vision. But
Yeah.
in each company, you see, you have a guy to say, I'm going there. The red, they will not tell you, what he needs to do. He hire, director, management level, and those guys for each department, they know what department they needed, and those guys that work to that goal. Sometimes they fail because what happened is the communication
Yeah.
between the visionary and this level, and if the communication is not filling that gap, that is happening. And people will start like, oh, you see, boss, I do this, but the manager didn't want that. The manager say, come with a solution, don't give me it's hard. People are not
Yeah.
either, was the stop thinking. They're looking to do like 9 to 5, I'm done, and I get my job, and after that say, oh, I want to have $1 million, but they don't think of say, how I can create. All the time when I work for others, I
Mm.
was like, I think differently, because what inspired me was Steve Jobs. All the time said, you know he fell, he did something, he fell, and after that
Yeah.
was resilient, and he didn't never stop. And all the time I tell my students to say, never give up. Okay, you
Mm.
fell, okay, learn from that fell. And like Edison, like we have a lot of examples in the past and also in the present, which can inspire others. But other things which I want to mention to you, and it's very important to when I see in the corporate, because you mentioned that it's that gap.
Yeah.
When they hire you, any corporation, they don't invest in you.
Oh, powerful. Mm.
They don't invest in you because they say, okay, I hire you, go and make the job. They don't
Mm.
say to you, hey, this is our mission, our vision, not just wording. This
Yeah.
we need to achieve. We want to show you what we do, and we should want to show you what you can be creative for us in order for us to make this.
Hmm.
Because when I go, people are coming with some templates from other industry that are coming there and say, "Hey, I work in the, you know what? I work for big things, and I'm coming, and they create this kind of suppress environment. You cannot say anything because they have a position, and people are afraid to lose the job." But all
Mm.
the time, I was not afraid to lose my job, and I said, "Okay, I will find one. No worries." When you are not afraid,
Yeah.
you are creative. You create an impact. People.
Yes.
I remember when I was at General Motors, they hired me when I was 27 years old. They asked me, say, "What do you think about this car?" I say, "It's ugly," and everyone was like, "Are you kidding me?
I love
Are you,
it.
are you kidding me?" And you say, "Yes, it's a box." They say, "You have a problem." I say, "No,
Yeah.
you don't have a problem." I say, "It's a military car. Is not Nobody will buy. Maybe the government, but it's ugly."
Yeah.
"Oh, you're European. You this kind of things, ideas." No, I said, "You have an issue because if you look at the Ford, Chrysler, and GM, they have other softwares and they can do shapes, surfaces. Why
Mm.
Chrysler car was awarded in 2001? Because they use CATIA. I'm not going details. Whereas the software was surfaces, only surfaces, and create shapes which
Hmm.
attract us. You
Hmm.
see. And I said, okay, what they look to compare GM Motors, they look to compare with Mercedes. I said, let's see Mercedes. They disassembled that car, and let's see what we can do because
Yeah.
it is the good one. I say, no, you can do that, but you miss the point.
Hmm.
And what happened in 2005 when it was the crash? Another good example is people rotate from General Motors engineers to Ford and Chrysler. And what happened in the next 2 years? The cars from GM, Ford, and Chrysler, you can see, look the same because they rotate. They forgot what?
Mhm.
They rotate the vision, they rotate the mission, they forgot too many things, which was the principle, the base for that business.
Yeah.
And people start to manipulate in the way which, they say is good, and people agree.
But don't you think that comes down to humans choosing to do what they know, not necessarily what is needed or wanted, maybe? And they take their own biases and they just go, this is what everyone's needing. This is what that, and I think this is where it's an interesting conversation, because if you bring different people to the table with different distinctions, in other words, they might think differently, they might do it differently, you may even innovate in a different way. I think there's a fear around, if like, I'll listen to those that I know because then they're going to just take what I've got. And if we bring other people into this, then I might have to think a little different. I might have to do it differently. I'm not so sure about this one. Maybe there's not a proven, model that is showing that this is effective. But that's where we start moving into what I call the pioneering side of it, like the future thinking side of it. How do we bridge this gap?
We believe by influence people, not be afraid to fail. I think
Yeah, so good.
that is the I think the first things. If we start teaching in schools, from young age, to like don't shut up and this kind of things. You realize, okay, because you are creative, don't stop the creativity,
Yeah,
because that
so good.
person also does. I say, remember the spirit bring information from the past and is moving forward. Okay, that children, in the young age, he has already information. Right now, he wants to discover himself, to communicate in the new life what information has it. Like my daughter, my daughter, all the time when it was, iPhone, she has iPhone, and people said, "Are you crazy? It's $750. How the kid is 5 years
Mm,
old." And I say, "No, it's like I encourage her to not fail, to not be afraid. Has a
yeah.
device, and right now she's very." She's very powerful, and she's
Mm.
creative in the games, and not to play
Wow,
games. She play games, but also create games, and also she's
amazing.
a beta testing,
Mm.
and do this kind of things, and yes, because that is she used that information and use it, and right now she's a professional. She's doing this kind of things, and she's influenced. Her passion maybe will be gaming, and then maybe not. But from that,
Yeah.
we'll take some lesson learned and move it in what she wants to develop and for her passion.
Yeah, love that. And I think I love the fact you just go, well, no, this is it. This is what I'm going to allow my child to do at the time. And I think that this is I love the fact that you do that. I think that the world is not necessarily encouraging people to keep doing things like that. Um because it's not the norm. And I think this not the norm has sort of hit the world a little harder with the pandemic, because that was not the norm. It sort of disrupted a lot of patterns that became the norm, because that's just how we did life. And people are thinking a little different in the way that, okay, so this is not going away in a hurry. So this is kind of my new norm, the new way that I do things. And I think there's a lot of what we're going to take on board and continue to take on board. But I think, like anything, we should always continuously be evolving, and and that brings a lot of uncertainty and a pathway forward. How do you be happy to fail in a pathway that's so uncertain?
Okay, when my life was not always was ups and down, but what I learned,
I thought your life must have been just perfect from
no,
the
no, no,
moment
no.
you
I'm
came
not
out.
perfect. Just I'm starting writing my book, in business
Mm,
strategy coach, and I'm sharing there. No, the life is not perfect, but the
yeah,
what's important, to take from that is, is like to shift the fail in an opportunity.
yeah, I love
It's
that.
like like, oh, he's like I hear, what a Navy SEAL, I don't remember the name, but he said, all the time when I was in the Navy SEAL, they have high risk and this kind of things.
Yes.
And somebody came to him and say, boss, we have a problem. And this guy said, oh, good. We have a problem. It's good. We need less to
Yeah.
resolve it, And if we shift that understanding, when you have a problem, don't be a panic and say, okay, we have a problem, it's okay. We love to have problem, and let's move forward. And that, let's see how we resolve that. We know with a short solution for a short period of time, or with long term solution. The same what you say with the kids. Like Elon Musk. Create this kind of school.
Mm,
For people to be is not. To be the traditional school, it will be
yeah.
like, okay, you are creative, you want to go to Mars, or you can this kind of things. I want you to express your creativity from the from the age. You are a little kid, to
Yeah.
to create something, because there will be a message, will be a different way of thinking. If we stop that and we go in the boxes because we are afraid, and everything is fierce, and people, they are not creative and stop to be creative because they focus to on the survivor mode. What I need to pay the bill, I need to pay
Yeah.
the food, pay this. If they resolve that, people after that, they can be like, how in SpaceX we said, Godspeed, you'll be a rocket,
Yes.
because you'll be creative. You don't think about, just I need to pay the bills. I want to say, what is my passion? How I can explore that and share with the world, and how I can create that, and other people, embrace and work together with the teams and make it happen.
Yeah, I love that. What about you personally? How do you keep evolving? How do you exercise the muscle of human intelligence? What are you doing to get to your next level?
Oh, it's good questions. And I love to share it. I'm
Mm,
reading. I'm reading more. Reading and listen to audibles. If I'm, yeah, I cannot have the opportunity to read. I have audible. Books. And I was very happy. 2 weeks ago. I did 1 week 5 books. Which was like
Wow.
really. Was like in each day one book, because I was on the road. I listened. I was connected. I was
Mm,
like, okay, all the time I'm listening, not just to listen, I'm listening to see other people lesson learn.
yes.
Because here
Yeah.
is other things, when I go in any company, when they hire me, and I start to negotiate, I ask,
Mm,
my first question is, do you have any questions for us? When it's an interview, I say yes. Where's your lesson learned folder?
mm.
And people say, we don't have that for your
That's
project.
such a great question.
Yeah, where is your lesson learned?
Mm,
Okay, what is your library?
mm,
They don't have a library in any company. Big companies, they don't have library. Why? Because I work in Europe, and when I work for to design prototypes, we have one day 8 hours to research and read.
yeah.
For that, whatever you want to create for that particular prototype, you try and understand what was built in the, you need to research to what was built in the world, who manufacture, and how you can do better than that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see, when I'm going here at GE, General Motors, this kind of things, it's a library. What is that? And also,
Yeah.
I see when they start with 6S, it's a process, to optimize, to say, okay, we are more paper. I stopped to do that. You know what? I see when they build the first locomotive was by hand. And they don't want to scan it because it was too much time and costly. And they want to go garbage, to
Mm,
trash that information. I say, guys, you missed the point. And I was
yeah.
in a situation, building a locomotive for Algeria, and they use old. They don't want the new engine with new filters and new technology. They say, hey, we want the old one because we don't have emission problem here in Algeria, and we
Mm,
don't have a law. But I cannot find the expert for that old technology, and I need to
yeah.
go retire. I need to to hire someone, to add that expertise. That was the lesson learned. If you don't have a lesson learned, you hire in your company, you make the same mistakes. If you don't start to have a lesson learned in your company, and
Mm,
everyone's to go there, to not be afraid, say, hey, we make mistakes. But
yeah.
everyone to say, oh, look, we are here.
Yeah.
We have 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. We'll never fail. No, it's not right. They fail, because the way to the principle and people understand to do that is, you test, you
Mm,
tweak, and you scale
yeah.
everything. Doesn't matter what profession you have, what kind of do you are in school. You test how I test how to read, how I test how to learn. And also
Yeah.
what is important in this kind of things, and people, they stay stuck and they don't understand, because people, they like to use nice words, but sometimes they are not connected with those words, and they
Yeah.
create misunderstood words to others. When
Yes.
and the cell, the brain will shut down because doesn't
Yeah.
understand that word. And you
Yeah.
need you and all the time I told to my students, hey, go dictionary and review it, because that is was the technology, for many years. And you need to clear the word and move forward, because after that
Yeah.
you don't need to and the brain will shut down and say, well, I don't know what is this. And when you are talking in negotiation, I all the time I am was the guy to not use abbreviations.
Yes.
Because why? Because if I have somebody in negotiation, which I will shut down, they will not follow me on the negotiation and will say, oh, this one, they start yawning. You see that they start
Yes.
yawning, they start to be not focusing, they want coffee, they want these kind of things, and you miss something, and you with your voice, you message you something which they didn't
Yes.
do. And you when you see that right away, you say, was something which you guys you want me to come back, because I want to make sure everything. And after that, they say, yeah, how about this? And you understand that will be a problem. And you start to use the plain English,
Yeah.
short sentences, and
Yes.
make the point.
I love that. Wow. One of the things that I think from all of this, and when we talk about learning from the failures, learning from the wins, learning from everything that we're doing so that we can progress forward and shift forward. The interesting thing about that is that's bringing it back to being humans. We are all humans. And my topic next month is going to be about around something that I find really important, and that is seeing humanity as stakeholders at the decision table. And I think that when we are confident to work with one another, we're confident in ourselves that we can bring our smarts to the table, our failures to the table, anything to the table as a learning ground, and we are willing to have others do the same, we are then able to now have a really interesting playing field at the decision table. And I think that this is something that has been removed from a lot of tables across the world right now. And I think that it's something that needs to come back into play. Being into human rights. What's your thinking of humanity as stakeholders at the decision table?
Yes, I think thank you so much. This is a great subject, and it's for my heart and soul. You know, you know, when I ask, how many rights do you have, um, based the UN Declaration of Human Rights, people doesn't know. They think, I have Miranda rights, I have civil rights, I have rights because I have rights because I'm bad rights. There are 30 human rights. The 30 human rights, started with, we are born free. We have this kind of, there are 30, and people
Yeah.
that are focusing, what they're looking for.
Mm,
But if we implement the human rights in schools
yeah.
and teach kids, do you know if we teach human rights? It's a statistic we know already. If and I like to share here, if we learn the 30 human rights in
Yes.
schools, the bully will stop
Hmm.
in 5 seconds.
Wow.
Why? Because they got the message, and after that they can be confident, and
Yeah.
they can fight for themselves and say, you know what, you know, my rights.
Yes.
You cannot bully, you cannot do these kind of things, because if you go, it's a nice limit. My rights, if I affect other people's rights, that
Yes.
is not good. You see, and people don't understand, the government doesn't understand. People, they don't have this kind of information, because they say, okay, lockdown, and it's a pandemic. I understand
Yeah.
that, but hey, somebody will need to come to say, hey man, and guys, what we doing, the team, did we are okay what we're doing? Because
Mm,
that is we are born with 30 human rights.
yeah.
Because we are born with the 30 human rights, and I have here the booklet. The human rights.
Mm,
What are the human rights? This booklet, it's by the youth for human rights, that work, and it's free, and people, they go in any language to go and have it. They
yeah.
can order by themselves, but what is important, they have here the human rights. you know and people, they don't know, but I don't want to take too much time. But here is it: we are all born free and equal. How about don't discriminate? How about the right to life? No
Yeah.
slavery, no torture. You have
Oh,
rights no matter where you go. We are all equal before the law. Your
yeah.
human rights are protected by law. No unfair determined. The right to trial. We are always innocent till proved guilty. The right to privacy. freedom to move, the right
Yeah.
to feel safe. I'm not going
Freedom,
to ask you.
freedom to move with a pandemic. That's an interesting one.
You say,
Yeah.
people when they say the freedom to move, they say, "Oh, what I need to do?" Well, you have that. And by the way, at U.S. Institute of U.S. Institute of Human U.S. Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights,
Yeah.
we have a course, by the founder, and Isabel Vladoy, and she is very known in human rights. Also, she was awarded by the. I think you need to have her in your decision table. She's
Perfect.
she was one of the person awarded by the president in 2018 with the Presidential Volunteer Gold Medal, because what she start to implement this. We
Yeah.
start with the school, start with police, we start with the government, start with this, and people understand that is good for the people, and
Mm.
people understand, especially in police, when they say, okay, we need to force, we need to flex our muscle, but when they see this, they say, yeah, we need to be human. We be intelligence. We need to be use, not, we are human, can be me and my side, and that they don't think like that, and
Yes.
how can impact to be. And I think, and I let you with this, that the one is here, the right to education.
Mm.
To right to education, we can, if we start to push, everyone, to come back to the basics.
Yes.
We start to learn, be open to learn, don't
Mm.
be stubborn, and start to flex, to use your
So
muscle,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
of your brain, and that you need to share, and that to be creative, and that will be amazing. And if we empower, here's the other things, if we empower from the young age, to be with no fears, to be confident, to be express themselves,
Beautiful.
to this kind of things, will create the magic. And you create a good community, you create a good human being, you can create more respect for each other, and
Yeah.
more creativity, and not be that fierce. Who are you? Why
Yeah.
you are different? And why you is something this, will be come back to this principle and say, hey, I'm not afraid, because we are all, born and free.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay, so if anyone wants to learn more about what you do and connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yes, they can connect with me at the U.S. Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights. We have here, and also, right now, I told you I'm working on the book, and people that
Mm.
ask me, because I have beautiful knowledge, on the consultancy and the startups, medium businesses, and to get you unstuck where you are stuck, that will be that the best way. U.S. Institute of Diplomacy and Human Rights, where we create the magic, and we have beautiful programs. I encourage everyone, to go there. It's usidhr.org. We have programs, to help. We have 16 million children, to help them, to go to school. And
Yeah.
if we help them, we help us. We help this planet,
Yeah.
and we helped, to create an impact, because the more, that is my why. That is our team here, in USIDHR, the big why, to create this impact. I cannot
Mm.
do by myself, and we can do together. And because we are human, we try to understand. And I think my message was clear. And thank you so much for giving the opportunity to be today at the decision table. I love what you do, and you are a rock star. And love, love to, and looking forward to see more on this show.
Oh my goodness, so good. Thank you. Hey, here's the thing. Before you leave, I have to ask you this question though. And this question is this. And I do it for everyone. I think that part of what these conversations are, and one of the reasons I don't sort of go right from the beginning, oh, this is what you do, this is who you are, is because I really want us to connect with the human side of you and learn from you. And I love the fact that you said throughout this conversation, you know, we've got to learn from each other, we've got to learn from our failures, we've got to learn from our wins, we've got to learn what is working, and we've got to keep moving forward, and we've got to educate and keep learning and evolving. And you know, for me, that's so important, and that's why we're having these conversations, is because everyone, I never want to assume that I know everything, or that I know that I even know how to do what it is that you're wanting to do. But I certainly have ways in which to learn and to look through different lenses and be able to, you know, disrupt patterns. And so for me, it's always fascinating to have someone on the other end of a conversation that is looking through many things that are so dear to my heart. And so for that, I'm truly thankful you've come on here. But the question that I want to ask is, what are you taking now that we've had this conversation? What are you taking from our conversation today? Because I think that awareness is really important, and that's what these conversations are around. But each time, I think it's important that we not just have a conversation, but we take something from a conversation.
Yes, I think that is beautiful said. What I'm taking from my conversation with you is, is a reminder to continue what I'm doing and to express, not one time per week,
Yeah.
often, uh, to share my legacy and my why, and to inspire others, and also to make others to think and to define on why, to say what's your why, and why we're here, and people to start to be like a disruptor. If we are like we're
Yeah.
a disruptor, like in the Facebook, everyone is going in social media. Well, let's be this kind of the disruptor, to remind this
Yeah.
society and everyone which is using social media is not, don't be a consumer,
No.
be a producer. And that the take my takeaway is, hey, you can educate someone, is not to just to educate, just talk with someone from heart to heart,
Yeah.
and share your knowledge. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid to do that, because everyone is equal, is born equal, and you can create a magic, because you don't need to have fears. Doesn't matter of the color of the age or the gender, is everything. It's just, you need to be open to take yourself to the next level. You need to be open to understand others and understand what's your why. And
Yeah.
after that, people will be, doesn't matter what you have in the past and what problem you have in the past, keep in the present time, look in the future,
Yeah.
and make sure you create the magic. Wow, is
Yeah,
that?
I love that. That is so good. So, what I'm taking from our conversation is actually that piece that you said around teams, or the library. Have you got a library? How did you say it? You said,
Yeah,
have,
the lesson learn. If you have the
yeah,
lesson learn, and if you have a library, the two aspect. Library, because library is like, if you have a library, you have your your tradition, to help and push your. If you are a leader, you need to create other leaders. Correct.
yes,
And if you cannot create, if you are a manager, you cannot create a leader, because you are afraid, your position will go. But if you are a leader and create other leaders, you say, hey, I learned this, I have this book,
yeah,
I read it, you share it, what you learn from that and what you take from that, and that will help you for the personal development, also in professional life, like, hey, we want to do the rocket, that Tesla, that Elon Musk SpaceX is doing, is that it doesn't say, I don't need to have, and people getting little bit questioning him, when he said, I don't want you to have a degree
yeah,
to do this kind of things. Not because what he's looking is that muscle of human intelligence to
yeah,
be open
yeah,
to learn something and to be creative, and he will give him the journey to learn, to create
mm,
a magic.
mm,
Not because I'm using a school to produce money, and I go to certificate, and after that you don't learn anything. You cannot use it, because they say I have Harvard, and Elon Musk said, too many MBAs, and there are stoppers in this industry and economy. Is like, well, we need to do this. They think from educational point of view, from
Yeah.
theoretical point of view, but the reality is, me and you, and let's see what we can work together, what
Yes.
we can have the same cause. What's your why? What's my why? And how we can have an effect to others around us, and to if we create an effect, all the time the effects start with one person within your community, and after that you go to the big region, to the country, to the world. That is not to say, oh, I'm in the country and I'm going to another country and I'm making impact. No, you create an impact by doing around you, and the community live like that. They will do it, because when you see from the heart, and people are connected with the heart and the mind, they will create the magic.
Oh, I love that. All right. So if you were to leave and give voice to one really important human right, what would that be today?
What I said, it's number 26, the right to education.
The right to education. Yeah.
I want everyone to be inspired. Doesn't matter what age you are, and how younger you are. Just be open to read, listen, and implement. I think that it's important, not just to have the knowledge, just implement. Because all the time I learn, I heard, like, I know that, but did you implement it? No. Why? And that is coming. Why? But thank you so much, Curie, for your time. This is my takeaway. Let's push, everyone to learn more, and to share more heart, and to do impact in any from the young age, to show, hey, don't be afraid. You are in the right place, and be creative, and you create an impact for your community, and that community will go to the region and to the country. And if we educate more, we create that awareness for the population, and the economy will start to go up, and everyone will be in a good place. And the people, what's important, to not be afraid of the survival mode.
Oh, that's beautiful. I can't say any better words than that. We are going to end this broadcast. Thank you so much, Manuel.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate
you guys. Love you.